Hello, horror fans. It's me, Cassandra,
Kylie.
and
Mary.
and we are the Horrorcraft podcast. We have a very special guest on tonight. We have Elizabeth Saunders. So please, we're going to go ahead and just tap into this episode. So let's cue the music and let's get lost in Fromville. Let's cue it. Hello, horror fans. We are back and we're so excited because anybody who's listened to the podcast knows how much we love From. We've that's been like our side quest on this podcast is being a From podcast. We talk a lot about it, especially because as we were talking to Liz off camera, anybody who listens to this knows that we are really good friends with Jamie McGuire, who we absolutely love, but we love everybody in the show and it's kind of been a comfort show for us. But our favorite character by far has to be Donna. So we are super excited to have you on, Liz.
Thank you.
So if you have not watched From is an incredible show that is on MGM Plus. It's honestly the best. I say that objectively, but it is about a group of people that we don't know how they're stuck, but they are stuck in this town. And at night, monsters come out to get them. And it is layered. It's got different things going on. It's a ton of emotions. If you're looking for a good show, this is the show to be watching. So, but we'll go ahead and get into the icebreakers because, of course, we like to have a little bit of fun here. And I think it's nice to hear people's response to some of the questions. So obviously From has a lot of horror in it. What would you say your favorite scary movie is?
My favorite scary movie? Oh, I love Rosemary's Baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is a great one. So very underrated. It seems like you like classics. So this kind of goes into the next question, which is what is your favorite universal monster?
Like Universal as in
Like like Frankenstein,
Okay.
Dracula.
Okay. Oh, this is where I'm like, oh, I should have not lost the email. Well, you know what? I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, but Frankenstein. But the embarrassing thing is, and I'm saying this because I'm setting this for myself for a goal, I've never read the book.
Oh yeah.
It's really good. And it's not cliche.
No.
Well, a lot of people love Frankenstein's monster, but so my vision of it is from film and TV.
Yeah. I don't think that that's cliched at all. I feel like a lot of people get that way too with Dracula. They've read it maybe a long time ago. Like I have a copy of Dracula, and when I got a really nice copy. That was my first time reading it, I think, in my adulthood, which is an embarrassing thing for me to say because I'm a huge Dracula fan. But you do see it differently, like when you haven't read it for a long time. So I don't think that that's a weird thing. I think a lot of people just gravitate towards the performances because I mean, like we're talking about Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, like some of the biggest names you associate with horror. And I think it's hard to kind of knock that out of our brain sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're on arguably one of the best horror TV shows that's been on in years. What is a favorite TV show of yours?
A favorite TV show of mine?
Yeah.
Oh, Happy Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that Sally Wainwright writes, I'm into.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I love that.
Not one talked about a lot.
Yeah, it really isn't. It should be more celebrated than
Oh, I think so. I think if it had come out of this side of the Atlantic, it probably would be talked about more. But
yeah.
it's exceptional writing and performances. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree.
plus
So
it's like I love seeing a woman, a gritty woman.
yes, I mean, to be honest, that's what we love as well, and that's why we love your
Yeah.
character. We're
Yeah.
definitely going to get into that. The atmosphere, though, and From is probably one of the best on TV. If you could plop yourself in a different, like, fantasy horror realm, it could be like TV, movie, where would you want to be?
Oh, like I think like a psychological horror.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
It's real, like I love psychological horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
See,
scariest, to be honest. I
Yeah.
personally think.
yeah,
I
because
find it so edge of your toes, and I can get very like relate to whatever character that's going through it.
yeah, definitely. I think it kind of shows like a lot of psychological. It's human are the worst monsters
Yes.
sometimes.
Well, okay, exactly. Because I think part of the reason I love it, and this is going to sound, well, I shouldn't say what it's going to sound like, but I mean, life sometimes is a bit of a psychological horror. We
Yeah.
go through things we don't know how to cope with. They seem mundane, they seem obvious, but really, uh, they're tremendously draining and frightening. And life is not always like that, but we all have it. And I think that's why I find psychological horror so attractive to watch, because there's that slow, unknown pace of like the layers coming back and realizing that you're in the middle of something way bigger than you know. And that's what I love about Prom has an aspect of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's not
So
just about monsters.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm really, I love that about From, and I'm proud about that in From, is that it never has been, and it hasn't turned into just about monsters. Like I think it's a beautiful balance.
Mhm.
yeah, no, I think it does a really great job, which kind of pairs into the next question that we were going to ask now, getting into the meat and potatoes of things. But when you first like got the script for From, or you were first approached about From, what attracted you to doing this role?
It was Donna, because
Yeah.
I only got sides, which are for people who are not in the business. It's, a number of pages of a script to do your audition with. So I couldn't read the whole show, and I saw this character that I went, I want to play her, and they haven't dulled her down and made her nice, and they haven't they haven't sort of gone, we're going to make her acceptable. And as I talk in my acceptable lady voice, and I was like, I want this part, but I really didn't. It wasn't a question of my ability, but I didn't think it would go my way. But I thought I'm gonna do my best shot. But it was like, I want to play this gritty, no bullshit woman who's just dealing with stuff. And at the time, I didn't know how much I'd be dealing with. But I knew that I just got to be very present, and so it was really Donna. And then when I got the scripts, I was like, bonus.
I can't see anyone else playing Donna, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You were born for that role. While like Donna is gritty, you still have that femininity about yourself, and that caring, loving. You know what I mean? It's more of what I see is almost like like a loving mother almost.
Yeah,
but
protecting.
But you take no bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to see those aspects. Like there's some things I'm trying to find, and I know sometimes they're trying to make sure that, Jack Bender, who's our one of our executive producers and main director, like has said, I want to see a little bit of this. And like this season, we shifted things a bit. So there was less badassery and more introspection.
Yeah.
A little more badassery back.
Yeah, we highlight strong women in horror, and obviously Donna is a really strong female character, as we were just talking. How much of Donna is you, and how much is that Donna, the character talking through you?
It's I think it goes both ways. Like there's aspects of me that I just bring to Donna, like but they're not aspects of me that are outside in the real world most of the time. And then there's aspects of Donna that I have to summon up, like I've learned a lot about me from things that I've had to do for Donna, that it's like, oh, I can do that. I can take even more space. And I'm a big proponent of women taking space, even though I struggle with it. But Donna just takes space. Like she just does.
She refuses to let any of those men railroad her, tell her what to do. She's like, I don't care who you are. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love when
Thanks.
you and Boyd go toe to toe. I love it.
Thanks. And I feel so lucky because, I mean, Harold he's great to go toe to toe with because he plays hard. And he not only plays hard, but he doesn't excuse me, which once in a while, maybe more than once in a while, sometimes working with some males, they'll pull back so you can play. And it's like, he just plays. And I go, demand that of me. I can do it. I will do it. I will do it. But I'm also sometimes scared because he's so good and he's so experienced that there is the little girl of this comes, I have to go in and he's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
He's an amazing he's a sweetheart, and he's one of the best number ones I've ever worked with. Probably the best, honestly.
I read in an interview that you loved when you saw you had scenes with him.
Oh yeah.
Like you got excited about that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I love playing with everybody, but those ones are they're special for me. Like, and part of that is just coming in and, here's this really, like, I'm established in my own smaller way, but this person who has done a body of work that we've witnessed over time, it can be daunting, but
understandable.
But he's so excellent. I would do any kind of thing with him, unless it was just like so stupid. I do stupid stuff. I would do stupid stuff. Not bad taste though. Not bad.
If you were in the situation, if you were in From, is there anything you would do differently that your character hasn't done?
Ooh, I think, and it differently, is I would not take such a leadership role as Donna. Like, I think I'd probably let someone else take that leadership role and be the strong man behind, or strong woman behind.
Not have the responsibility of everybody too.
Pardon?
Is that what you're saying? Like not have the responsibility of everybody?
Not so assertively and upfront.
Yeah.
I think I would. I'm as a person a bit more someone who would be like, okay, you be the outspoken one, and I will back you up. And then every once in a while, I have to get a word in. But
yeah, because I think we see that this season where there's a cost to doing that, especially with Boyd. We kind of saw that in the first episode with what happens, and then kind of moving forward, it's this like very daunting task of I've taken on this role and look what it has cost me.
Yeah.
And I think you and Harold's character especially kind of carried that this season of this is what it costs to do this.
Yeah. I think that's true, and I think that's the sort of mother and father in a way. Like we don't play it as that, but it's that energy of holding a family, whether it's your birth or chosen, that you're holding a family of people together. The cost it can take, toll it can take on you. And I will say too, like Donna kind of shifted once when I came in. I think they gave her some stuff they weren't planning to. And part of what has evolved out of, and it was quick, out from me and Harold, is we hit it off a certain way right off the bat. And that's created that relationship. And if there had been a different actor playing Boyd, it may have been just more, we don't get along. But Harold and I just automatically kind of went, okay, I don't like what, as characters, we very quickly went into, I don't like what you're doing, but I respect you.
Mm-hmm.
So part of it is it's built out of Harold and me just being who we are when we meet as people.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So, you had your husband on the show, and what was that like working with him on the show when you weren't a loving married couple on the show?
No. It was fun. It's actually more fun to do that. Like, for me, I find it more fun. We like to laugh, so it's sort of, we could have fun with it. But also there's, I don't know about other couples, but I sort of, like Cliff and I haven't worked together since we met.
Right.
And so this was the first time in like nearly 30 years that we didn't anything other than a little tiny workshop. And there's something about when you have, for me anyway, you have your private personal relationship with someone, and it's easier to not play that on camera. Like I would be kind of like, oh, we're gonna pretend to be us as a relationship on TV. Like it kind of blows my mind, because our version of a loving relationship doesn't look like a TV loving relationship. I don't think. Like, I think it looks like most people's loving relationships. It's a lot messier,
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. So this is a massive spoiler in effect. So we're going to put a time cut in this episode. So if you don't want to hear this, you can move past this. But talking about that, your husband had a pretty prolific death scene this season.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you were actually, your character was the one that like walled up his body, so to speak. How was that
so
for both of
emotional,
you?
I will say. That was emotional.
Yeah.
I kind of was messed up after watching the end of that episode with his death. Like, I think I took a week pause when it came after that episode, because I was just not emotionally prepared for how that
it was
went.
just like, oh, okay, all right. Woo.
I think it was because of the fact of not only was it his death, but like Harold's reaction, like Boyd's reaction, and him kind of like, you just kind of felt that like deep in. And I have been a fan of Harold even before from. I loved him as Mercutio and Romeo and Juliet. Like, that to me was my character growing up. So I wouldn't have expected anything less from him, but just like the powerfulness of all three of you in that scene, I think it was just like really hard after watching that. It was like, man, I did not like, I thought we already had one pretty big death in the beginning, and then that was just like, it was like, oh crap, this takes it to a whole other level. But how did it feel like doing that scene, because that's your husband and he's dying and you are part of that? How did it feel to have that come on screen?
I always feel like I'm going to disappoint people when I answer this, because I had been shown pictures of the making of the face and all the modeling. And Patrick Baxter, our incredible monster makeup, and he showed me the wall. So I'd seen it all. And So the actual scene, and it was so far away, and Cliff wasn't there at all when we shot it. It was just the wall and the face. And I was so far away, and it's such a brief moment that it felt like playing any other scene.
Right.
And the big response, in a way, was seeing the response of Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
And that transmitting to me, and this being this public, it's such a vulnerable moment in public, and that's what was the whole picture
Yeah.
that was moving. But I saw that this was the crazy thing when I went up to the wall outside of the scene and looked at it. The face, it's so well done. It's so well made. But the crazy thing was, your partner's hand so well. And even though the face was amazing, seeing fingers that I know that well poking through the wall, like that kind of fucked me up. That was sad for me.
Yeah.
That was hard. But on the flip side, if they hadn't shown me all the stuff in advance and I had to just walk into it, it would have just backfired, because I think I would have just like laughed out of that ridiculousness.
Yeah,
That's my sense of humor, right? My sense of humor. I wouldn't come in and go, "Oh my God, that's my husband and he looks dead." I would come in. I know that I would have come in and gone, "Oh my fuck." It would be like a prank, right?
Yeah. Like
that.
I feel like when you do scenes like that, you get so, I mean, and especially with your body of work, you get so used to certain aspects. I feel like it would probably be like one of those things of, oh my, like, this is fucking trippy, man. Like, I think I would have probably had the same reaction. Like, it probably would have just been like, that's a really good body right there. Like,
well, that's the thing too, in general, with the monsters, when people have asked about, are you, do you get freaked out by them? And there's a part of me that, like, there was a time, I still kind of secretly do, wanted to be a costume designer. So the whole idea of design, like, I'm blown away by the artistry way more than I'm creeped out by it.
Yeah.
So I just see it as like artwork that someone made, and what Michael and Patrick make is phenomenal.
Yeah. I think that to us is what makes Jamie's character so scary, because that is his natural smile.
I know.
And he is the nicest guy.
He's the sweetest person too.
And so, like, him with the makeup, that's one thing, but knowing that that's his everyday smile and that doesn't match up to like his personality,
it doesn't.
It just blows our. But I think that's kind of us too. Is I think that's the interesting part of the show is it's, you are scared in certain parts, but you're also impressed, like the level of things that are done in the show.
Yeah.
Like our friend, especially, that kind of got us all into From, she was staying in an Airbnb out in the woods, and she watched the episode with the colony house where the monsters all come, and she was so scared by it. She, like, they locked all the doors and just like put all the lights on and everything. So I think that's impressive to get to somebody on that level. And I think that's what makes this show unique, is there are so many things that stick with you, and it's not the things you think about.
Well, I think, and I think it is there is that great balance of horror and psychological and realness. Like, you're dealing with what looks you're in a small town. Yes, it's a creepy small town and you're stuck in it, but you're in small town America, ish. But you're dealing with like a horrible day-to-day situation. Like, if any of us were thrown into that much stress every goddamn day, that's a nightmare. Like, this isn't happening over a year. This is like the space of 3 seasons is just several weeks of time. So you're barraged with fuckery.
Yeah.
From every angle.
Pretty much.
Yeah, especially after this season.
Pardon?
Especially after this season, there was so much fuckery.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like I can't even imagine where we go next. I'm excited to find out, but I have no idea. I'm like, because it could be anything. I think that was the other thing with Dale in the pool wall. For me, that was a moment of it's not anything, any death is possible. It's not just a monster. You can get stuck in a pool wall.
Yeah.
We always say no one's safe when it comes
safe.
to prom.
It's the dose of fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Well, totally. So anything's game. Anything's game now.
Yeah, it feels kind of like the ultimate level of Jumanji. Like every time you think that you are like getting out of that level, it just keeps amping up and you just don't know where to stop. Like you just, and every time you feel like you're getting answers, there's more answers, and it's just like it seems like it's just never ending. And I think that that's maybe part of the charm of it, because it's not only are you stuck in an actual like where you can't get out, mentally you cannot get out either, because it just hits you every way possible, and anytime you think something is safe, it is not safe. And I think it's just like the deepest reflection of like our deepest fears of like you said, being stuck in that where emotionally you're just getting hit all the time. I think that's what makes it so scary too, is it's the monsters, but then it's also like when you think you're safe, you're not safe at all. Like, how do you protect the people you love in that? How do you save people from that? Like, there's just no real answer yet, even being 3 seasons in. Now that's B4.
And I think what you said about people you love, that's part of it too. Like, there's all these pockets of people that love.
Yes.
And the people that want to help. I think Sarah has the line, they pick the people that want to help.
Yeah.
And so we're not a bunch of strangers that get together and don't know how to deal with each other. We don't know how to each other, and we start out as strangers, but there's all these pockets of love that come in. And so there's always people that want to help. And I think again, it's like a microcosm of life. Like for me, it is maybe
I think that that's what a lot of people grab.
But I think John and John, who created it, John Griffin and Jeff, like people don't know anymore is what they know who John and Jeff are. But for those of you who haven't watched, John Griffin and Jeff Pinkner, who do the vast majority of the writing, and it's all from John's head. Like, I don't know what their view of it is, but it really does strike me as sort of this really exaggerated, warped microcosm of life.
Yeah. I think that that's, and that kind of naturally goes into what I'm going to talk about next. But I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards horror too, because it is kind of a deep reflection of life and some of our deepest fears in the most like fleshed out way. It's like things that we have inside, but then the monsters are the reflection of that. And then it's kind of an introspective as well. So, is horror a preferred genre you like acting in, or is this something like outside of From? Because we are going to get into the Christmas movie that you most recently did, but is horror something that just like the genre itself attracts you?
You know, I think I really enjoy doing it. I will say that, you know, like if I read a horror script that I thought was just not well written, I wouldn't want to do it. So the better it's written, the more I like doing it.
Right.
That goes for anything, but I wouldn't say it's my preferred, but for some reason it's preferred me in recent years. I don't know what that says about me, but it's sort of found. I don't know. Horror seems to have found me recently.
I think it's because, and again, this is something I'm going to follow up here in a minute. I think it's because you just do so well. You need such a strong character in horror. And I think that's for Donna. A lot of women, we relate to that because that's the kind of character we would have to be in that kind of situation, especially given the motivations of like having our if we had to have people that we love in that situation, what would we do in order to save them, and what lengths of ourselves would we be willing to give up? And I think you just reflect that so naturally. I'm not saying that just because you're on here, but anybody who's heard me talk about your character knows that I feel that way. And I think so many women who do watch the show feel the way too, is you just are unapologetically yourself, and you're not having to be anything but who you are, even in this really messed up situation. So go, sorry.
Oh no, I'm thinking like my brain is going. This is my brain. Thank you so much. Someone should do a PhD, a feminist paper on why strong women in horror are a reflection on what women would like to be in real life, but are told not to be. Academically, I'm sort of like excited by the idea of that, but also like I struggle with that in real life. Like, my daughters struggle with it, and with being just an unapologetic woman.
Yeah, I feel so. It's funny that you bring that up because I actually did do a paper in my associate's degree talking about a horror movie versus a romantic comedy, and why not a romantic comedy. I did The Purge Anarchy versus Titanic, and I talked about how horror movies are a truer reflection of horror because it doesn't have to end, good, bad. It could end any way you want it to end. And women can be who they want to be, versus like in Titanic, this woman is getting emotional. Like Kate Winslet is amazing, mind you. But this woman is getting emotionally and physically abused by her fiance, jumps into another relationship, and then we're focused on the romance as tons of people are dying on this ship, which I understand, but it's kind of like you never really fully grasp the horror in the way of maybe like a horror movie does, because you have to deal with that. So that's, to me, is a reflection of women can be whoever they want to be in a horror film. And I feel like that is a genre that, in this genre, that's what a lot of us gravitate towards, is we, like you said, it's something we all struggle with. I mean, we have a podcast ran by women, but we still struggle with finding our voice even in our own genre. So I think having women characters like yours helps us gravitate and helps us center and find that energy where we could be like, you know what, we are who we are, and you're just going to have to accept that.
Yeah, beautifully said. Because I think likewise, I get to do what the more that people realize and accept that women can be who they are, the more those stories can be told. And we're nowhere near where we could go.
No, I think that kind of answers the question of what it means to be a woman in horror to you. But following up on that, you're a mom. Did you raise your daughters watching horror movies, or is this a genre that they kind of do they enjoy watching you on from?
My youngest, they both do enjoy watching it, but my oldest is a new mom and over in England. They haven't got season 3 yet. So he's seen less of it, but my youngest just loves the show. And totally gets into it. And both my girls are into horror and not all sorts of the fantasy. Both of them different ones, but they've sort of just gravitated to it on their own. Like I don't think Cliff and I really pushed them towards one thing or another. They found their own stuff. I did ban Barney the Dinosaur. It's the one show I've banned.
I mean, that as someone whose first crush was Barney the dinosaur, I think that is probably a good choice. I think I was emotionally not. I didn't need to watch Barney the dinosaur.
I was obsessed with Barney as a child, and it was unhealthy.
Oh, well, maybe this was why I had it. It wasn't Barney that was the problem. It was the kids. The kids looked like they'd been drugged.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I never really thought about that, but yes.
It was so happy that I was like, oh my God.
You know, it must be something that everyone picked up on, because there was an incredible movie that came out this Halloween that was called Mr. Crockett.
Oh,
and he was kind of like a Barney, Mr. Rogers type character that ends up coming and taking children. And the kids were kind of the same way. And I was thinking to myself the same thing. I was like, this kind of makes you think, like, were those kids really happy to be there, or was this kind of the same situation?
Yeah. Well, and not to mention, as Liz sits and slags Barney the dinosaur, I looked at those children and I went, they don't look like the children I see when I pick up my kids from school or from a play date. And like, if there was one happy kid that was sort of looked like they were jacked up on something and they were so happy, but like I didn't see kids that were flawed, just wonderful, messy 8-year-olds, and they were just so clean. And I was like, I know those exist, but I know they exist because they've been made to exist that way.
Yeah.
So
that's actually a really, we're really solidly, Kylie and I are both, well, and Mary is a stepmother, but Kylie and I both are also mothers. We're all mothers here. I kind of like understand that so much, because that was kind of my thing too, with certain kid shows, with our children, especially. So looking at that, I respect that decision, because now thinking about it, Barney, I think, set kind of some high expectations for me as a kid. That I didn't realize until this moment.
Maybe that's what's wrong with us. We watch too much Barney.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. You've moved past Barney.
Yeah,
we did. We did.
You made it through.
Yeah,
we did.
No, my sisters still are just like you. Like we had to watch that shit all the time, Kylie. All the time.
Your poor sisters. So it's to you.
But I have a couple questions. Who's your favorite character from besides you?
It's sort of, I'm bad with favorites as a person, like, because just am. But I would say that it's a toss up between Victor and Jade.
Oh yeah. That's Victor is really, I feel like he is one of those that not a lot of people give as much respect as they should, because his character is so like, and we find out so much more. Yeah, and like surviving for that long, like of course you would have something, like of course you would feel the way you're stuck forever in that age because of what happened. So I'm glad that they expanded his story more, especially this season with his father.
Oh, I just love that. So many tears.
And Bob Joy is so beautiful as his dad, and
it's so believable.
It's so believable and so nuanced and beautifully played.
And shout out to our friend Sarah, who plays Victor's mom. And in the series, she showed up really quick for one moment and then she showed up this season, obviously, and it was kind of interesting to see both of our friends have a scene
together.
It was kind of, we were both like, okay, we know what's coming, but this is kind of cool. But okay, I'm scared. But so shout out to her for playing Victor's mom, and we do get to see more backstory, but I'm glad that they like tied all of that in with Victor's dad. And I'm sorry, but some of the scenes with Victor's dad at the end emotionally just wrecked me. especially when he's blaming himself and his dad's like,
Yeah.
it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And I'm just like, thanks, Dad. I needed to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What is your favorite role or film you've been in? It can be besides from, project, anything like that.
Well, I mean, Donna is my fave. Like
Yeah.
that one's really special. I did a show called Mary Kills People where I played a serial killer nurse. They based her on a real story here I mean, there's unfortunately a number of serial killer nurses. But there was a particular nurse who really felt she was doing the good thing by bringing people's deaths about.
Wow. I think there's a lot of that happens in the medical field with doctors and nurses that end up becoming serial killers. And I've just always found that so fascinating because they think they're helping people, but you're killing people.
I know,
So
it's
I'm
wild.
gonna have to check that out.
It's wild. And the show itself, Mary Kills People, was about Mary is the main character. And I was just in in season 3 as sort of her nemesis in that season. But she ethically, the show is about assisted death.
right.
Really?
So
I've
she
watched
sort
a
of been
paper
the
in high
ethical
school on
one,
that.
and then my character came in and she was stepping over the line all the time. So she was fun. And then I think a lot of my other I have some other ones, but they're theater, so
Yeah.
that's fond memories of. There's parts that I've enjoyed, but yeah.
Donna,
Yeah.
I could see the theater though, especially
I
in the
definitely
way that,
can too.
yeah, and the way that you play some of the scenes, I could definitely see your theater experience. When we were looking into the background for this episode, like knowing the different productions and things that you've been a part of, I could see how that brings into even your physicality with Donna, like in some of the scenes.
It's in as I do more and more on the TV side and finding that balance, because I don't agree with, there's always been the thought that if you're do theater, you're too big for television. I think theater has shifted to being much smaller now often. But I go, if you're a good actor, you can find the room and you'll do it. But I think Donna in a way it has helped me because I am allowed to be physical and take space. And I think sometimes when you haven't had that opportunity in theater, because television, you do have to keep it more compact, which I still have to think about quite a bit because I have such a background in just filling a bigger room.
Yeah, I also think it's hard when you, like, even for us, it's hard sometimes with our episodes, even keeping it under an hour, because we when we get into a topic, like I feel like especially as women, like and the emotionality side of it, we want to bring that forward, and I think we do want to fill up that space because it's just something we're naturally like proclivity towards.
Yeah.
And so for us, a lot of times our episodes are like hour, 2 hours, like, and it's one of those things where it's like I would want to apologize, but at the same time I'm not going to, because we talked about something that needed to be talked about, and that's just where we're at.
Well, we're just women, we're friends, women talk a lot, and we're very passionate about what we do, and we're being like we say it all the time, we're being unapologetically ourselves. And if people don't like that,
and I think a lot of times too, we talk about things in horror that people don't see, like, talking about generational trauma. Kylie and I talk a lot about both of our children being on the spectrum. And I think that is like a big part too, is because a lot of people don't talk about that. We find that, especially with both of us, that there are a lot of women who won't talk about the realistic sides of being a mother with a child with special needs, talking about dealing with those issues, talking about, the grief and everything. Everyone wants to highlight the positive, and we're both very like, listen, we love our kids, we love everything about them, but we're not going to just focus on the good parts.
Yeah.
There are very bad days, and we're okay to say that. But I think there's this pressure to not be that way. And for us, we're like, listen, you're going to get us either way. Like, I think that's why we relate so well to each other, is we're kind of the same way. We're not glamorizing anything. We're telling you the real truth of things.
Yeah.
That's that you guys have that, because I think it's so, it's, or maybe it's just my experience. I do have a couple of friends I can talk to about stuff. I too, both my daughters have gone through some health issues, and my youngest has significant health issues that are really broad ranging. And honestly, there are things that if I had not been like, I don't wish we had gone through them, because I wish my daughter had not had to go through the pain. But Donna's informed. I don't talk about this much, but I know that Donna is informed by the pain as a mother that I have experienced.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't experienced it, that would not come out in Donna.
No, and I think that's something, the reason why we gravitate towards that too, because we feel that. Like, I can totally, you saying that now, I can totally relate to that, because we've been there. We both had, you know, Kylie's son is nonverbal. My son is verbal, but he has very complex medical issues due to his sensory issues. And both of us, there is sometimes a divide between women, especially mothers with children on the spectrum, because especially with nonverbal children and verbal children, there are a lot of people that are like, okay, well, your child is verbal, or, you know, like, okay, at least they could do this. And we're very big about, like, no, like, we've both been on that side, and there's no one way or another. Like, it's not just because my child is talking doesn't invalidate his issues. And just because, you know, Kylie has stuff going on with her son doesn't mean that he has complex. Yes, he doesn't talk, but he also has. Yeah,
he understands a lot more than what others think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just think it's just, I feel in society, and especially as mothers, we're constantly being pitted against each other. Whether you have a child that has special needs, you have the perfect, healthy, talking child. There's just always that constant, well, my kid's better, or, well, you're not doing this the right way.
Right.
Just constantly.
And to touch on what she's saying, the other part of that too, and I really want to bring that up because Mary is right down there. I also think, I do not like this, and this is something that we gas Mary up about a lot.
Yes.
Stepmothers are still valid mothers as well. For Mary, she's been in her stepdaughter's life for a long period of time, and she has been that other support. And I think society likes that villain origin story of, oh, well, here's the, you know, the real mom, and here's the other person that just kind of came in there. It shouldn't be that way. We're all trying to get through this together. And so for us, that is kind of what we try to bring. So when you bringing that up about Donna, we understand that, because I think that's a lot of comfort to us watching the show, is we know that pain. We know that kind of veil that's behind her, because we see that. And so I think that's what makes us gravitate towards your character, is we get that on a base level. Most definitely.
Wow. That's thank you, but also just, I'm glad we're having this conversation. That's part of, like, I'm thanking you for recognizing it, but also just that we're having this conversation, because I think as an actor, like, I don't go in and go, oh, I'm going to draw something from my life that's painful to get through the scene. Like, I don't really work that way, although there are acting schools that you do draw and stuff. But I think if you've been through, and we all will be through something at some point, but I think mothers learn it a little, and fathers, fathers who are there and present. And same with mothers who were there and present. Whether you're a stepmother, you're a mother, you're adopted, like if you're there, you're gonna learn really quickly about painful days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you don't walk away. Like sometimes people do walk away, but I think like without even thinking about it, that is Donna holds that. And I think like I kind of went, why do people see me as like motherly? Is it the way I look? I don't, but then I started looking at it from the perspective as like she deeply cares about people, even when she doesn't want to care. Because I know I wish I didn't care this much.
Yeah.
She's like defending the colony house. She's protecting. She made these rules to keep everyone safe. And when she says she's some BS, she calls it out.
Yeah.
And she's not going to be quiet. And like you said, she takes up space.
Yeah.
And she makes sure she's known and that she's respected. But then you also see a side of her where things get hard, where she doesn't want to have to make these decisions. And it's so like, as women, we can fully understand it.
Yeah.
Because that is real life. Being a woman in this society, you have to be strong. And being strong gets a lot of backlash a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's why we just love Donna, because she's just very like, no, you will listen to me.
Yeah.
And this is how it's going. And we love that aspect of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel really, really fortunate that John created this character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think he does a really good job at not only creating your character as a woman, but creating some of the other characters. Because there are a lot of shows, especially a lot of horror films, that can fall into that kind of trope.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's kind of given, whether it is Tabitha's character, it's your character, it's Fatima, like he gives these different sides to each character where they kind of fill different roles. They kind of, you see different sides of being a woman, of womanhood through them. And I think that that's so important because a lot of times there is a very big stereotype that you're either one way as a woman or you're another, and there's no leeway in between. And I think that that just does such a disservice when you are a strong, powerful woman and you're just trying to make your way through life. So having different characters that kind of embody that, I think is so important. So I am very grateful that they have made such strong women in this that kind of go toe to toe with a lot of the male characters that are in the show. Because I think sometimes that's the connective tissue that we lose in certain movies and TV shows.
Oh, I mean, actresses talk a lot about stuff that comes across our desk that it's like, this isn't a woman.
Yeah.
This is an object that helps forward the story, but it's not a woman. It's not a human. It's I mean, it's improving, but it's still there, and there are certain genres that it's like it's not going to change because it's built on the back of it. But you know, or even to sometimes descriptions that you get, you're like, oh, really? You've described where's that? So you're looking for an object that kind of you go, that vase will do.
Yeah.
As long as it can say the lines and wear the dress. And I mean, to some extent, it's with men too, because it's a visual medium, but it's so much more pervasive for women. So it's nice to be in a show where that's not happening. Like even like it, the way I think part of the reason it works too is I think the way they cast a group of really real people. We're all a bit goofy and weird, and like we don't, you know, I think most of us, and I mean this in the best way, because I love people like this, and I love my cast, is like everyone's just a little bit weird.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we love that. We're here this, you know, we get it because this is our weird group right here. Like, you know, if our group chats ever get released, we're in trouble. We're in deep trouble, which I think is a good sign of a positive friendship.
No, we've had moments for sure on set. We're like, if this gets out.
We've just built a friendship and a group within each other that we wish we had growing up and in childhood, and having to go through, you know, just the horrors of being a girl in puberty and like high school and stuff. You know what I mean? And just girls are mean. They're mean, especially.
I have to like this because this summed it up for me. There's a comedian, a trans comedian that somebody came up to him and it was like, "Hey, little man," and I don't remember the whole bit, but it sort of ended with like, "Don't go after me. I didn't grow up as a boy. I grew up as a girl, and I can take you down. Start your hairline." You know, like, and I was like, he's right. It's that stealth. Like, girls learn to stealth bully and just nitpick.
Yeah.
It's survival. Let's be honest.
It's the mind.
It's survival. It's growing up as a woman.
But it leaves so many scars. Like, I mean, I speak for myself. Like, there are things that I'm like, why are you still scarred by this 40 years later, 50 years later? But they leave these little wounds that I wish we didn't have to do to each other. I probably left scars on people too. I'm just unaware of what they are.
I think it's finding your tribe, because that for me has always been like, I started this out with a completely different person that was my childhood friend, and now I'm here with, and to be very clear, anybody who's listening who hasn't listened to our podcast before, I've never met Mary in person. Mary and I have not met in person yet, but really? Mary is like one of the best people in my life and knows literally everything about me. So if you see us in public together and we're all over each other, it's just because of the fact that we haven't seen each other yet. And we have like a year of pent up, like, I just want to hug you. I just want to, you know, I want to be with my friend. So, and Kylie and I, we live about 4 hours from each other. And so we get to see each other maybe a couple times a year. But like, there are times when we're together where I'm literally like, I just need to hug you right now because you're real. And we kept like, especially because we met each other at a special needs family retreat that we go to for a week. And when we're together, we'll be like, I'm just going to touch you to make sure you're real. Because I'm used to seeing you. Like, we'll have lunches together, dinner, like we'll talk late at night. We'll have multiple video chats a day. We're talking all the time. But to have each other in person, that's a whole other aspect. So, but anybody who thinks like watching this thinks that we are doing things for show. Like this, if anything, this is us kind of dialed down a little bit. If you see us out in public, we're a lot more like joined at the hip together because of the fact that these are our people. And I think when you find those people that accept you for who you're at, especially as a woman, that's hard.
Yeah. That's amazing, you guys. I love that you have that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We love the fact that you've given us that space too, in a show that we love, because we watched it together like on the same day, and we would all talk back and forth like about the show and discourse every single day, like every single episode that came out. So for us, it was kind of like
theorizing in the group chat.
Like, oh yes,
and we're deep in the from.
A little lost. We're lost on Sundays.
Yeah, we are. This Sunday was so weird. Like,
we had to start a new show. We had to start a new show because like From kind of came at a perfect time because we just finished Interview with the Vampire, and that was kind of like that gutted us. And so it was like, okay, From's back, and now that From's gone, we're like, what do we do with our lives now? Like, what do we have to talk about on Sundays? Like,
Yeah.
You guys remember when I had that big storm and lost power because of a tree branch falling in the middle of our road? And
Yeah,
I was
we thought she was in Plumville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we were
I went
making
to a friend's house and I got on their Wi-Fi and I downloaded the episode on my phone. And me and my husband watched it. Yeah. It was great. But I had to watch it. I had to watch my phone.
Wow, that's I love that. Like it just makes me happy. It makes me happy that people are having that response to the show. Like I never thought I'd be in a show. Like I kind of hit a point in my lifetime that I thought, oh, I'll never be in something that is like it. Long gone are the days of I'm going to be a star.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm a working actor and I will do it. And then I'm in this show that I sort of can't really grasp that people are having, that it brings them joy, like horror joy. But
yeah,
at the same time, like we sit and watch it. We're genuine fans of the show, which feels weird when you're in a show and you're a fan of it. But like, we're like, gotta watch it.
I'm sure it's completely different watching it all put together than just acting in the scenes.
Oh yeah, like there are things now that oh God, I hate when this happens. The word doesn't come. Oh God, this is terrible.
I mean, it happens to us all.
Well, it just happened really bad and it ain't coming back. But like there are things that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that was in there.
I follow a lot of like on TikTok and Instagram. They'll be like people are now going back and rewatching things, and they're making like prophecies, and they're like, oh, this is, and I just love them. I'm like, oh my gosh, that did happen.
Yeah,
but before we didn't know where it was going to go,
and we don't always know. Like there are things like there's a thing about Jade wearing the bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Like I just
I was like, what?
I'm like, they've planned more than I know. Like there's stuff, I'm like, oh, scenic design is getting a whole set of notes we don't know about. And I'm like,
I like that.
So that's kind of cool when you watch it and you're like, oh, the Easter eggs, there's the word.
Easter eggs.
The Easter eggs, like some of them we do know are in there when we get the script, not in event, but mostly we don't know they're in there, or I'm too stupid.
I definitely don't think it's that.
To be fair, a lot happens on the show.
Yeah.
And also the thing of like when you read a script, like you read it once, maybe twice, depending on how much that you focus on your scenes. You want to know what the overall arc is of that episode and how it fits in, but like your focus is learning your scenes, so it's like very quickly leaves my brain of story points that other actors have spent ages working on. But the good thing is 6 months later I'm like, oh my God, that happened. Oh, so it's kind of, that's fun.
We love that. So moving on from I'm gonna let Mary take over on this one, but this is coming out during Creepmas, which is amazing. And this is also shout out to Kylie because it's her son Zane's birthday today. But this is also her last episode before she leaves on maternity leave. So this is her last episode before she's filming this. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you did a Christmas horror movie called Guess Who?
And Kylie found it, to give credit. Kylie is the one who found it.
I did. I saw it in a From group and I was like, oh, that's Donna and Ellis. Okay. And I was like, I'm gonna watch it. And then I saw like it was like a kind of a Christmas horror. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. This is perfect. But I loved it. It was in catalog of Christmas horror movies to watch every year.
Okay, I can't wait. It came out last year, and I haven't seen it. I know Cortion has, because I think it hasn't. I don't know if it's in Canada yet on TUBI. I know it's
It
in
is
the.
on TUBI. Oh,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
For the
different in
US.
Canada.
Yeah, I don't think it's in Canada yet. Possible. We'll do the research, and if it is in the US and Canada, we'll put it down in the description below. But yeah, it's on Tubi, which Tubi is one of our favorite horror platforms anymore. Because I feel like a lot of really good movies end up on there. A lot of movies that people don't get a chance to see when they have hype and buzz around them. So then they get kind of put on Tubi. So I was excited to see that. But yeah, it kind of fit in with the fact that, you know, we're in the midst of Creepmas and we're spooky all year. So of course, Christmas would be spooky. And we're always looking for a good Christmas horror movie. But I don't know if Mary or Kylie want to lead off on some questions about it.
It and just for the listeners, and it's called Guess Who, and we saw it on the US Tubi, and it's psychological, it's a mystery, it has you on the edge of your seat, and it's pretty much a slasher, and it was so much fun. I don't want to give too much away, but pretty much this couple's going back for Christmas to to meet his family. Everyone's really odd and really weird, and then shit hits the fan. That's
Yeah.
And you play a mother figure in this.
I
as
do.
well.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I saw a lot of your character Donna in it too, because she's joking, but she's firm and she surprises everybody. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So, Kylie, you found it. So tell me your thoughts.
I thought it was great. Like I said, it's Christmas horror. I love the tradition, like with the murmurs or whatever that is, like with the
murmuring.
The murmuring. Yeah, I really loved that. But I saw a lot of your character in like playing Donna for sure. But I loved it. It was fun. I was on the edge of my seat. Like, we watch horror movies all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was about to say we're probably up to about 500 this year.
Yeah.
Alone. Yeah, we watch a lot. So so to have something that kind of surprises us and really kind of, especially in the Christmas horror genre, is a big feat, because there is kind of I would say formulaic kind of Christmas horror movie. I mean, there have been some surprises in recent years with different movies, but I think, you know, generally it's Christmas slasher, which understandably, because one of the greatest horror slashers period is Black Christmas. And of course that kind of jump started the genre. But to have something that kind of takes it out of the box like that, I think is a whole different thing for us. So if they're saying, you know, what they're saying it to be true, because we, like I said, we do watch a lot of movies. So to have something surprise us is definitely a big feat.
This is great to hear. This is so great to hear, because like I don't have I had a great time doing it, and it was just sweet that Cordian and I ended up on it together.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how was that acting in something very different from Prom?
It was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I love Cortion. So it was sort of like this bonus and to do that, and I mean, it was shot like From just has more space and money and all that, so it's a different experience. Like, it was shot a lot quicker, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, it does take place in just
really great
place.
Pardon?
It does take place in just like one place.
Yeah. But no, I had a great time doing it. Yeah.
We love that. So it's Guess Who. It is on Tubi. We'll put it down below. If it has also jumped over to Canadian Tubi, we will put that as well. Are there any other projects that you have coming out currently, other than obviously season 4 of From, which should be starting soon, that you would like to talk about?
Well, I mean, it's interesting, totally different genre. Totally different genres. I back on it was Hallmark. It's not Hallmark. It's Great American Family. So it's totally different. Very wholesome. When Hope Calls. So that's coming out in the new year. I have a little.
Ooh.
It's like my character if Donna was completely pulled together and polite.
Oh yeah. So if it's the one that I'm thinking of, they're like back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So America has that. It's Hallmark. It's when Hope Calls. I'm excited to see that, because that would definitely be a different.
It's so different. It's so different.
While we love horror, me and Cass are huge Hallmark girlies. Like, I don't care if it has the same plot. I'm gonna watch it.
It's nice to have that palate cleanser, because you know, when we talk about like watching a lot of movies, like generally to keep up to date with everything that's coming out, and then also what we're preparing for, and if we talk about certain movies, even if we're doing certain movies, we generally watch about anywhere between 5 to 15 movies a week. And so you kind of have to have that palate cleanser in between, because your mind will just kind of be like, just rot at a certain point, because it just all blurs together. So I feel like
I have my palate cleansers, and I have my what I put on that I'm kind of half watching.
Yes.
I have shows like that. So it's like, oh, I'm sewing. I have like Midsummer Murders.
Yes.
You know, so it's because it's just sort of gentle enough that it's like there's a story there, but I don't have to be clocked into everything, trying to catch everything. And because I do my thing is I like dark things. Like I do.
Yeah.
Dark or funny. I like always happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, you're speaking to the right group here, because
Yes.
that's kind of our same jam too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Liz. This has just
Oh,
been
a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
We loved having you on. If you have not seen Liz on From is currently streaming all 3 seasons on MGM Plus. You can also get MGM Plus through different streaming services such as Amazon Prime. That's how a lot of us here watch it. And then, as she said, When Hope Calls, that is actually, we'll put the details down below, but that's on Hallmark as well.
And we'll Great American Family.
Yeah, Great American Family, and we'll put where you can find that on there. We will also put Guess Who down there, and if you watch it, please let us know what you think of it. So, but until next time, it's me, Cassandra, and
Kylie,
and
Mary,
and we're out. Stay spooky and have a happy Creepmas. Bye.
bye.